Today we're talking to Deanna Jacobs and Myra Pinhorn, who are both connected with Emsworth Guides. First of all, ladies, when did you join?
The Emsworth Guides in February 1961, having transferred from 2nd Bishop Stortford Company in Hertfordshire.
Right. Okay. And you, Myra?
I came at the same time.
Right.
I'm 2 years older than my sister. So when I came to Emsworth, I started as a cadet because previously I had been a land ranger in Hertfordshire, but because I didn't know anything about the sea, and Emsworth being very much a sea area, I didn't think I would be able to join the Sea Rangers. But once I joined Guides as a cadet, the lieutenant there at the time, who was Eileen Carty, suggested that because I ought to meet more people of my own age within the area, because both my sister and I went to school in Portsmouth, I should join the local Sea Ranger unit. And her twin sister was running the unit, and she thought it would be a good idea if I went there to meet more people of my own age. So I did join Sea Rangers, and at the time I did both Sea Rangers and a cadet in the first Emsworth Guides. And I thoroughly enjoyed Sea Rangers. I loved rowing, I loved the canoeing. Never thought I would, but I really adored it. And I was with Sea Rangers for many, many years after that, and eventually took over the Sea Ranger unit as a guider.
Okay. Deanna, what level did you go in at the Guides?
I had just completed all my tests for my first class badge, and the first thing that happened was that I was presented with it when I arrived in Emsworth, and then I was made company leader, and then straight away started to work on my Queen's Guide badge. That had to be completed by the December, when it was my 16th birthday, so I had less than a year to do it in. So it was quite a tall order, yes. I had lots of tests as well as badges to do. I had to have approval of the company, the guide captain, a commandant from the camp, and the district commissioner to suggest that I be put forward for a Queen's Guide. And then I had to do various badges.
What were they?
Well, obviously I had to be first class to start with.
Oh.
Then I had to do the woodcraft emblem, which was 4 badges: camper, hiker, bird watcher and map reader I did. And if I'd got that and my little house emblem, which I had got for my first class, I could then go on to all-round cords if I added emergency helper, cyclist, and another one, I can't remember, something like camper or something. If I'd added all those, then that made it into my all-round cords, which all went towards the Queen's Guide.
Which did you find the easiest to do?
I don't know which I found the easiest, but the most difficult one to do was the Commonwealth Knowledge Badge. We had to do some sort of service for overseas, and we had to choose a company in the Commonwealth, and I chose Canada. And we had to find out all sorts of things about that country, and that was quite time-consuming, and there was a lot of research for it.
And of course you were at school at the same time.
And I was at school at the same time.
So you had homework as well?
Well, doing O-level course. So that was the tough one, I think. Also, the other time-consuming bit was we had to do a service and to help in the community, and we had to do that for 3 months. And I chose to do Sunday school teaching at Thomas à Becket Church at Warblington. And then finally, the last tests were tests that the district commissioner, she gave you about three jobs to do, which I think were all, one of them, I think, was working with a family all day, and I had to help with housework and cooking and the children. Don't remember what the other 2 days were. And the very last thing was to do a Be Prepared test, and then just anything was thrown at you for you to do. And then it was fingers crossed that I had passed everything.
How long was it before you knew?
It seemed a wait of an eternity to me at the time, but in fact I got my certificate is signed as November 1961, so I did it just a few weeks before my 16th birthday.
That's right. In fact, I was a first-class guide in Second Bishop Stortford St Michael's Guides in Hertfordshire, but because the fact that we moved at the wrong time for that, I wasn't able to continue to do guides as such. That's why I decided to join Land Rangers at the time, because we knew we were in the process of moving, and so I missed out on being a Queen's Guide. But funnily enough, later on, my recent guiding activities I've been doing, I've in fact been a Queen's Guide advisor for the county.
Really?
Yes, which is rather remarkable. Sort of things come back to where you begin.
That's right.
And I was always a little bit sorry that I had never got my Queen's Guide, and so I really wanted to ensure that all the younger people coming up into guiding had that opportunity, and so I made sure that as many people as possible were able to become Queen's Guide, and it was a thoroughly rewarding post that I did. Very much changed. In those days, the Queen's Guide was in the guides itself, but now it's not in the guiding section. It is now in the ranger and what is now called young leaders, who are training to be guiders. So in other words, from the age of 18 to about 26.
Oh, it's an older age.
So it's an older age group. I think really, as Deanna was explaining, it's an awful lot for a young girl who's 16, working for her O-levels, then carrying on for A-levels. It was an awful lot for them to do in a short space of time. So that is why it was transferred up into the older age group. Had a little bit, not an awful lot of time, because you know what these youngsters are like, but a little bit more time than the younger girl had.
Were you the only person in your company doing the Queen's Guide at the time?
I was at the time.
You had nobody to compare notes?
No, I didn't, and I was the first guide in Emsworth to receive the award. But after that, a lot of the girls then started to work towards that. I think it gave
role model.
Yes, and then that was lovely, and they had several Queen's Guides after me.
Once one person starts, everybody else gets encouraged.
That's right.
And it carried on for a long time after that in Emsworth.
It did, yes.
Yeah.
They were presented to me by the district commissioner, who was Mrs. Else. That was done in the January, and then after that, I went on, stayed in the guides for a little while, and then I went on to be a county cadet and help. That was training to become a guider, as well as being a sea ranger like my sister.
Yeah.
And
we did both.
and one of my jobs as a cadet was actually to help the girls that were doing their Queen's Guides, but to do the badge of Commonwealth knowledge, the one that I disliked so much, and I helped the girls with that particularly.
Right. Did any other guides choose Canada to study, or did they?
I don't remember.
A long time ago.
Yes, that's right.
I don't know how we came to get the boats, but they were called Sea Rangers. Yeah. We had 2 rowing boats which were kept in Packharty's garden. And I remember many times, she lived down West Road, and I remember many times pulling all the Sea Rangers, pulling them down to the shore, because we cast off at the bottom of Warbington Road and rowed around that part. Yeah. And we had one boat that took, I think it was 6 of us, and another smaller one that took about 3, and we had great fun. We used to learn to row, and we also used to row out to Fowey Island, I think it's called, and we used to have a little break there. We used to, sort of moor up there and wait and have a little break, look around the little island there, and then row back again. But we were very much governed by the tides, obviously, and there was only certain times of the evening, that we could go
you
out.
Obviously didn't do it in the dark.
No, not in the dark. We did occasionally, just for fun, have a midnight row.
Did you?
Yeah, we certainly did.
Yes,
we
did.
When the tide was right, just for a little bit of fun, because you were able to do that sort of thing in those days. I don't think it would be heard of now because of health and safety, but in those days we were able to do that sort of thing, and we used to have great fun doing that. We had weekly meetings.
At what time of day?
We used to meet, I believe, from something like 7:30 until about 10 o'clock, and we had all kinds of activities going on as a ranger unit. Concentrating mostly on sea rangering things. Like how to blow a bosun's call, that kind of thing. Learning all about the different types of ships, the square-rigged ships, all different sorts of knotting to do with sea rangering and rangering, identifying all the flags of the world, learning the international code as well, of when flags are flying and what it all means. International Code of Signals, I think they call it. But there's an awful lot of things to do in Sea Rangers, and the camaraderie was wonderful, and the friendship.
Was it a good group?
Emsworth was a very good group. There's about 8, which doesn't sound very big, but for a senior section unit, that's just the right size. Of course, you can spend more time with them.
How many were in the guides, Deanna?
Oh, I should think the company was somewhere between 20 to 25, 30 girls, something like that, I think. It's quite a big company, because eventually it did split, and a second Emsworth was formed because there was just too many girls that wanted to join, which was lovely.
Yes. I in fact started that guy company.
Did you?
When I was the district commissioner, because First Emsworth Guides was getting far too big, we decided obviously that if the guide company was too big, then girls would start leaving.
Yes.
Because they weren't receiving enough attention. And I actually became a district commissioner for Emsworth in November 1970, when we split from Havant district, because Havant was getting too big, too many units around the area for a commissioner to manage. So the Havant district was split and Emsworth district was formed. And I was the first commissioner, and I think one of my first things was to split First Emsworth Guides and start a new guide company. And it was Second Emsworth, and it met in the Red Cross Hall off the Havant Road. I'm not sure whether it's still there now, but that's where they met.
Where did the first meet?
We met at what we called Washington Road School, which I think was just the local primary school, because there was a church school as well here, and we met at Washington Road School.
And how long were the meetings?
I think about 2 hours. I think we started something like at 6:30 to 8:30, something like that. We could, they were quite full. We used to have patrol time and a bit of fun time as well, and we also used to break up to work in groups towards badges and that sort of thing, or discussing camps if we were off to camp.
Did you go to camp?
Yes, we went to camp with them. First of all, I think we went to a little place called Rockbourne, which was near Fordingbridge, which is sort of down in the New Forest way. We went to up to my way, where I'm living now, to Froxfield once. We went to Blackmore twice, but the best was when we went to the Lake District, and we went up to the Lake District twice. Yes.
Both my sister and I went on that.
Yes. They were one that was an experience.
Can you imagine taking guides on the underground?
This is what we did.
We did that.
You travelled by train?
We travelled by train up to, yes.
Our kit was sent up in advance, and
we hired tents there, I think.
Yes, that's right. And, the Scouts looked after us regarding equipment. The Scouts of the Cumberland area.
And off we went.
How long was the camp for? A week?
I think we camped there for 10 days. I've got a feeling we had a little bit longer than the week.
Because 2 days was taken travelling, really.
Yes, so I think it was about a 10-day camp, and we didn't just camp. We went out and we looked around places like Keswick, and so that we did get a little bit of a view of everything that was going on around us.
Climbed the hills.
Yes, that's right. And it was my job in the camp to sort of sort out a challenge for the girls to do, so that we had to imagine that we were on a desert island or something. So while we were in the camp, I had to organise them to build a rope bridge. We had a little stream, so we built a rope bridge, and they all had to climb across it. I do believe everyone threw water over everybody else while they were going across to see if they could make them fall in the river. And we had to get up and do an early morning hike. They had to cook their own breakfast or their own lunch one day and not use utensils, and it was all to make the camp a bit more interesting.
And I was doing the cooking for that camp. Cooking for all the guides and the guiders.
Well, where did you get the provisions from?
From locally. We ordered everything in advance, and had everything delivered, mostly to us. So it was great fun.
Yes.
It's the highlight of most of our camping life, really, going up to the Lake District. Yes.